Hello and welcome to Dateline Lagos on Channels Television. I'm Ayo Tunde Balogun. Coming up on the program, Lagos hosts first National Transport Conference and Exhibition, and State Physical Planning Permit Authority enlightens public on building laws. Let's kick off the show from the transportation sector. The Lagos State government hosted the first edition of the National Transport Technology Conference and Exhibition. The event focused on the emerging trends in the global transportation space and feasible ways to implement and domesticate evolving trends into the sector for state and national economic growth. At the event, the Lagos State government announced the establishment of the Inland Waterways Monitoring and Data Management Center, the first of its kind in West Africa. Take a look.
Greener transportation is visible.
It's the maiden edition of the National Transport Technology Conference and Exhibition at the Eco Hotel and Suites, Victoria Island, Lagos. Stakeholders in the transportation sector across the country are present at this event, organized by the National Transport Commissioners Forum in partnership with the Lagos State Ministry of Transportation.
Therefore, gathered here in this hall today,
the host commissioner in Lagos sets the tone for the discussion.
The National Transport Commissioners Forum, under the umbrella and support of the Federal Ministry of Transportation, has deemed it fit to organize this maiden edition conference themed multimodality and interconnectivity, achieving an efficient and greener transport system in Nigeria, in order to create an avenue that will avail all states of the Federation an opportunity to discuss and dissect topical issues affecting the Nigerian transport industries while proffering solutions with the mind and intention of aligning methodologies and processes for enhanced efficiencies and effectiveness. This conference is taking place at a pivotal time in our nation where a sustainable roadmap is required to shape the future of transportation. Not only is transportation an economic sector in its own right that generates revenue, income, and employment, it is also a critical component essential to the performance of other key sectors, namely external trade, tourism, and security. I have no doubt that the deliberations at this conference and insight gained will contribute positively to advancing the overall objective of our being here. I therefore enjoin all the attendees to make the most of this day, of this event, as they go back to their various bases and implement the ideas and concepts discussed.
Chairman of the Nigerian Transportation Forum speaks on the need for the nation to explore emerging trends in the global transportation space.
Technological innovations have made a profound impact on the effectiveness and development of other economic sectors in developed and developing nations. The application of technological innovations in the health sector has resulted in more effective diagnostic and treatment processes, while the application in the agricultural sector has increased productivity and supply of goods and services. We have witnessed the benefits of applying technologies ranging from the use of automatic number plate recognition system to the body cameras employed by the Federal Road Safety, the implementation of computerized vehicle inspection services, to driver's testing services, deployment of robust security system holistically known as the Deep Blue Sea Project, as well as improving rail services with the incorporation of e-ticketing, etc. The benefits observed from application of these innovations are undeniably enormous. However, the transportation sector has only scratched the surface of the rapidly emerging technologies which could enhance the primary objective of safety and security, as well as revenue generation at both state and federal levels. Hence, this bespoke conference to showcase these products, to adopt these services, and to improve our sector straight at the grassroots level. The Nigeria Transportation Commissioners Forum is optimistic that this conference will henceforth chart the course for transformation of the sector to align with global best practices, reduce the rates of accidents, introduce investors with subsequent increase in revenue generation, and contribute to the overall national development and standard of living.
Meanwhile, the keynote speaker, Professor Iyolauni, says government must invest in rail and water transportation systems to reduce the workload on the roads.
90% of passengers at freight rely on road network, while 90% of internal and cross-border activities are done on the road. Freight movement is also done by the road. We have excessive pressure on road. That's why I pity Dr. Boboyo Yemi, because all the traffic that should have been carried by rail or water and air are placed on road, and that gives a lot of more pressure. And we now say that the transport, the planning and management of it could make or mar your cities that you are actually looking at. For efficiency, we need to have a large carrier, such as BRT on the road, with special attention, as well as rail, to move people, and more investment on water. Even in Sokoto, a lot of people use water, but they are having a lot of accident issues. We have River Niger, River Benue, that are all navigable, and in which case we can make use instead of everything going on the road. Now, we need massive investment. But recently, we see that the government has been pumping in so much money on the rail system. New efforts to link Nigeria with neighboring states by rail is there. The massive investment in intra and intercity rail service, especially in the first-class cities. The first-class cities is not about academic performance. It's about population and activity. Mega cities such as Lagos, Kano, Abuja, and Port Harcourt should be given special attention. These are the ones that are carrying the... So what we are looking at is having, as a matter of policy, a rail-based linking airport and seaport. If I'm going to travel through the international airport in Lagos, I need to, and I'm coming from Abuja, I need to highlight at MM1 or MM2, carry out my bag, then travel again by the road, enter traffic, before I get to the international airport, Murtala Mohammed International Airport. I realized that I will have missed my flight, whereas it should have been, rail-based. Even in factories, in most civilized countries, have rail-based to carry their items.
Reducing traffic on the roads is also a major concern for the federal government.
It is worthy to note that the use of multimodal transport implies overall structural changes covering new trade and transport practices. However, various measures are needed to implement multimodal transport, from the streamlining of commercial regulations to the development of transport infrastructure, such as the provision of alternate transport corridors, availability of trade-free zone, construction of inland container dry ports, provision of industrial parks, national carriers, etc. The current administration is investing heavily in the construction of railways, roads, seaports, inland container depots to facilitate the actualization of its agenda in the transportation sector. There is also a focus on linking the various modes of available transportation to strengthening the intermodal movement of freight and passengers, which would improve the safety, convenience, travel time, and cost of transportation within Africa, with corresponding reduction in carbon and particulate emissions and reductions in the loss of life. Dear eminent participants, multimodal transport and transit system can provide an array of options for passenger and freight transport and successfully connect citizens and countries while supporting economic growth. However, emphasis must be placed on low carbon-based energy modes of transport and an increased reliance on public transport system. The Federal Ministry of Transportation recognizes the need to promote green transportation and is currently building capacity and in the process of reviewing a policy on non-motorized transportation in conjunction with the United Nations Environmental Programme. Similarly, the Road Transport Transformation Programme of the road subsector strongly advocates the reduction of harmful greenhouse gases and is concerned about rolling out compressed natural gas buses and encourage commercial operators to convert their engines to use the CNG.
There's no way we want to talk about transportation in Nigeria today without talking about intermodal. And that is why this is very, very apt. Intermodal transportation system, interconnectivity, multimodality, that is the way forward. A case like of Lagos and other coastal states that have the River Rhine, they have the rail, and the solution to the transportation problem of Nigeria is the maximum utilization of the modal transportation systems. Then you talk about connectivity. Let's take Lagos, for example. Lagos have the rail. They have the inland waters, and they have the air, and they have the road. So when you are talking about Lagos, it's a very good example of the best approach in Nigeria on intermodal transportation system. And we have a challenge. The transportation system in Nigeria is in crisis. The transportation system the road transportation accounts for about 90% of the transportation mode. So there's so much pressure on road. If we can have diversification and have the proper interconnectivity, intermodal, that will solve our problem. If the rail can be put into great use for the public, that will reduce a lot of pressure on the road and also reduce the pressure on the federal roads. Presently in Nigeria, we have about 204,000 kilometers of road network, and the country will now have a landmass of 924,000 square kilometers and vehicular density of 16.1 million vehicles. And you look at a population of 203 million Nigerians. Lagos alone accounts for 40% of vehicular density and accounts for 33% of the driver's license. So it's very apt to have this year's program in Lagos.
In Lagos State, the government says modes of transportation will be synchronized with the use of technology innovation that will save time.
In today's world, technology is a significant factor that affects economic growth. Hence, every nation must set aside a part of its budget for the funding of technological inventions. I can boldly say that Lagos State has been in the forefront of investment in technology, especially in the transport sector, with the implementation of a huge investment in technology to address technical issues, especially in transportation. It is our plan to integrate road, rail, and water modes of transportation to make movement of people, goods, and services across the state more effective and efficient. These modes of transportation will be synchronized in a manner that would make movement fluid and also save time and money. We have remained resolute in our intention to complete existing projects, such as the blue and the red line systems, which are part of the intermodal transportation system we set out in the Strategic Transport Master Plan. In managing road transportation, intelligent traffic signal lights have brought solutions to traffic-prone junctions, and automatic number plate recognition, ANPR technology, deployed across the metropolis has improved the compliance rate of vehicle documentation. Traffic management solution has reduced human interference on traffic law violation, and accurate vehicle roadworthy exercise are now conducted within few minutes through the use of computerized vehicle inspection centers. In order for us to effectively harness the economic advantage in the system, we now operate a centralized carry card payment system
for all modes of public transportation across the state. This allows commuters to travel to any destination within the state with any of the 3 modes of transportation and pay the fare with the same card. Also, in keeping with our tradition of excellence, I have approved the establishment of the Inland Waterways Monitoring and Data Management Center, WMDMC, the first of its kind in West Africa. The center, when completed, The center, when completed, will be able to track the waterways activities in terms of safety and security of lives and property, as well as the command and rescue exercise.
Stakeholders here are in agreement that a new transport policy is needed to achieve an efficient and greener transport system in Nigeria.
From the transportation sector to building laws. No structure must be erected without a building permit clearance. This is according to the General Manager of the Lagos State Physical Planning Permit Authority, Mr. Kehinde Oshinake, who made this comment during a sensitization campaign on compliance to physical planning permit rules and regulations. Mr. Oshinake says it is mandatory for individuals or even corporate bodies to get approval for construction before going ahead with any building project in Lagos State.
In the month of May, 2 buildings collapsed in Lagos. A 3-story building caved in on Ibadan Street, Ebute Meta, where 10 people lost their lives. Meanwhile, another 4-story building collapsed on Alayaki Lane, Freeman Street, Lagos Island, claiming 4 lives. This recurring incident prompted the Lagos State Building Control Agency to embark on an evaluation, evacuation and demolition of distressed buildings within the metropolis. The State Physical Planning Permit Authority is also educating the public on the benefits of compliance to physical planning permit laws.
Thank you. God bless you.
The team moves from Lekki to Sura in Lagos Island, where a building was sealed up due to a lack of approval.
Hey, I got it.
Again, the leadership of LASPPPA talks through the process of acquiring a building permit.
Once there's an intention for the developer to have intention of obtaining planning permit, what you need to do is that you will apply to the Lagos State Physical Planning Permit Authority. We have our district offices located everywhere in the state, in all the local government. We have our district offices there. So what you need to do is just for the developer, to go to that office with all its documents, all the required documents to obtain that planning permit. So that is just the procedure. But the procedure is that first, what you need to do is that you get your architectural drawing ready, which is one of the documents, your intention, this is the plan I want, so we get it ready. Then the proof of ownership, which is title document, will be part of it, as well as the survey plan. Those are the 3 documents that is very, very important. You take those documents to any of our district office located throughout the state. So once you get there, all they need to do is that we have an officer there that will look at those documents. Once they look at those documents and they feel that that can be granted approval, so they will now follow you to site to go and inspect that site. On getting to the site, there are so many things they need to look in there at the site. Whether the land is under Identon wire, is very close to a canal, so one other thing they need to know to confirm that that property belongs to you. You know, once that one is done, and they will look at the drawing, the architectural drawing that has been submitted. Once it is okay, then the assessment will be given to you. That is, the assessment means that how much for you to be paid to the government. Once that is done, then the applicant will be instructed to go to any of the designated bank and pay that assessment fee to the government covers. See, it's almost the same thing. It's the same process. But the only thing is that your drawing that you are bringing to town planning office will be captioned as built drawing. So it won't be a proposed drawing now, because when I say proposed drawing means that is your intention. The building has not been built already. But once the building has been constructed and you want to obtain planning permit, fine. So what the architectural drawing will be that the proposed, as we have it on the ground, will be brought down to town planning office for assessment. And when that is brought, the only thing here is that the document that will be submitted, because you need to submit to us a letter, a letter from the engineer certifying that construction is fit and is habitable. And at the same time, you will be told to go and obtain what we refer to as a non-destructive integrity test, at least to carry out a test on that structure, that structure is fit. And once we have those documents, the application will be granted approval. But don't forget that you'll be penalized having built that development before coming down for the approval. The same thing applies to both whoever have that intention of obtaining planning permit for any development. So definitely what you need to do is that you come to the office, then they will assess that drawing for you, and if you have built that development, you'll be penalized for it, and that's what we refer to as penal fee. So if the property where you have built cannot be granted approval, then that means that approval will not be accepted. So where you have built that type of development, we have to demolish it. Probably, that is why it is even important for the individual developers to first, before even buying that line, you need to come down to our office to come and confirm whether that property, where you want to buy that property, is where you have been granted approval. It is one thing for you to have an intention of putting up a residential development, and the government is now saying that you cannot put up that residential development. It is only the commercial development you can put there. You understand now? So, and if your intention is to put that type of development there, we only tell you that, look, there's no way you can put this type of development here. So if you have not purchased that land, you have not acquired that land, then you still have your intention of going to another place, go and look for that land that will be suitable for that development you have for your intention.
And there's a warning from the General Manager of LASPPPA that anyone found contravening the law will face the consequences.
What we are trying to tell the good people of Lagos State is that there's enormous benefits inherent in voluntary compliance with these town planning laws and regulations. And one of it is safety of lives and property. And to a very large extent also, we are also going to, if not eradicate, minimize or bring to the lowest level this unfortunate incident of collapse of buildings. Because when people build voluntarily, in the sense that we'll be able to adhere strictly to our rules and standards. And particularly, the National Building Code, that's the provisions of the National Building Code, will also be enforced during and after constructions. One of it is that before you embark on any form of construction in the state, that is building construction, it is mandatory that you obtain planning permits. And after obtaining that planning permit, it's also compulsory that you proceed to our sister agency, Lagos State Building Control Agency, to collect what we call a letter of commencement. That's you inform them of your intention to embark on that proposed development. In that wise, they will be able to monitor and ensure that the right professionals are engaged during and after the construction of that particular project. One of the consequences of non-compliance that, look, for one, the property, once apprehended, will be sealed off by the agency and by building control agency also. That's the Lagos State Physical Planning Permit Authority and the Lagos State Building Construction Agency. That is one, by building control agency rather. That is one of the consequences. The other is that it also depends on the level of the infractions. If it's going to endanger lives and properties, then that building will have to be pulled down. And it has to be pulled down by the government agency. That's, in this case, the Building Control Agency. And again, another consequence that we're probably going to even prosecute the offender, that's the offenders of these planning regulations and standards.
The state government hopes that this campaign on getting proper approvals during the process of erecting structures will go a long way in averting the collapse of buildings in Lagos State.
And this is where we call it today on this week's edition of Dateline Lagos. As always, thank you so much for watching. I'm Ayotunde Balogun. Until next time, Please stay safe.